guys, how are you all doing? It's a girl CC and I'm back again with another interesting video. I trust you guys are okay. I trust you guys are doing well. Thank you so much for clicking to watch this video. So I was just going through, videos on TikTok. I saw this video right here. The caption caught my attention. It says male privilege. So I was like, okay, maybe we should talk about it today. What do you think? I mean, what is this male privilege all about? But I have put together a few videos. Let's just hear from them. I think this is something that we need to talk about and, get our men to also, see this video or listen to us or talk about it. Like, let's just make it a conversation today in the comment section. Please check these videos out.
I'm sorry. I just have to get this off of my chest. As a wife and a mother and a woman, I am sick and tired and fucking fed up with male privilege. In fact, I got so wound up just now that I wrote some notes because I really want to talk about and understand the full spectrum of male privilege. And if you know me at all, you know that I love to be accurate. So let's get into it. Buckle up. We hear all the time about male privilege. The male privilege that has 80% of all unalivings being men. Another interesting statistic about male privilege is how divorced men are 8 times more likely to unalive themselves than divorced women. How about the male privilege of all workplace deaths being 90% men? Are we talking about the privilege of turning 18 and having to sign up for selective service, where you basically sign off on all of your bodily autonomy at the whim of the government? Maybe what we're actually talking about is the male privilege of knowing that any woman, whether you know her or not, could make a false accusation against you with no physical proof and completely annihilate your life. And besides all of that, there's also the male privilege of all of the pressure that society puts on you to be the ultimate provider. The privilege of having all of your worth, all of your value as a human being be directly correlated to how much money you make. Or maybe, just maybe, it's the male privilege of being in the same position as your girlfriend or even your wife with, an unplanned pregnancy, but having no say at all over your future or your loss. That male privilege that allows her to make all of the decisions when it comes to something that was equally of your making. Because women, they get to go ahead and end a pregnancy and destroy this life because they weren't ready. They weren't maybe financially ready or emotionally ready. But male privilege, you don't get that choice. You, in fact, get the male privilege that regardless of your financial situation, if she decides to have that baby, your male privilege dictates that now you're on the hook for 18 years, sometimes more. And for a man, no matter how badly he wants this baby, no matter how enthralled and in love with the idea of being a father, if she decides to end that pregnancy, his male privilege says that he is just out of luck. That male privilege gives you absolutely no say at all. Honestly, I could go on and on and on, but I think you get the point.
Out of all the male privileges in society, the singular one that I'm jealous of the most is that men can almost go on with their entire life, never think about their safety, unless they purposefully put themselves in danger. They almost never have to worry about being assaulted, being SA'd, being kidnapped, and being human trafficked. Well, that is my daily struggle. And let me remind you, I'm tall, I'm strong, I'm fit, and I can fight, but I cannot fight men. I got invited to a yacht party for a first date, and my first reaction is that I cannot go, because what if I never come back? And this has happened so many times that I will just opt out for things because I cannot risk my safety. Even if there's only 1% chance that something bad will happen, I just simply cannot risk it. And our male counterparts almost never ever in their life have to think about that unless they purposefully do something stupid that can get them killed.
Question of the day. What privileges do men have? Men are physically bigger and stronger, and we can expose our chest in public. That's about it. You can walk home at night without being scared. Scared of what? Being attacked? Newsflash, men can be attacked too. In fact, we're more likely to be attacked, assaulted, stabbed, shot. Way more. Men aren't looking at a dark alley at 2 a.m. going, yay, I can go down that because I'm a man. What are you talking about? The wage gap! Nope, in general, women make about 83 cents on the dollar. But women in their 20s are actually matching or out-earning men in their 20s. In fact, in places like Philly, Atlanta, LA, San Fran, New York, Miami, and other major cities where young women are often screaming the loudest about this, they're making anywhere from 95 to 112% of what men in the same city make. Add in that men are more likely to ask for a raise, work longer hours, work in higher paying fields. The gap is a total myth. Men are still expected to act chivalrously. Men are still expected to physically protect women. And men are still judged harshly for not contributing financially to a household. Women are loved regardless of their financial contribution. So please, ladies, enlighten me. What privileges do men have? Question of the day. What privileges do men have?
Yeah, basically what this stems from is the fact that stereotypically masculine traits are often viewed as more valuable than stereotypically feminine ones. Traits viewed as masculine in Western society include strength, courage, independence, leadership, and assertiveness. You notice the ones for femininity are very different. Nurturance, sensitivity, sweetness, supportiveness, gentleness, warmth, passivity, cooperativeness. It's a lot of stuff on emotional intelligence, interpersonal relationships, and doing what you're told. Whereas these traits are centered around leadership. It's a bit of a misunderstanding when people say that male privilege is the fact that men are able to do more things than women are able to do, or that men always have the advantage. That's not really what this is. It's about the fact that masculine traits are more often than not viewed more positively than feminine ones. And so if you would like to embrace traditional gender norms, you have the privilege of being viewed more favorably by society.
In fact, we're more likely to be attacked, assaulted, stabbed, shot.
That's true. Quick question though. By who? Men are more likely to be stabbed, shot, attacked, assaulted. By who? By other men. Men are more likely to be the victims of violence because men are more likely to engage in violence. The same way arsonists are probably more likely to die in a house fire. I've never been worried about being the victim of violence while outside because I do not engage in violence. So no, the odds of me being the victim of a violent act are very, very small. I mean, it's not as if robbers are going out specifically looking for men to rob. In fact, it's probably the exact opposite. Now, of course, his stat is only overall. If you look more specifically, there are instances in which women are more likely to be victims. In fact, they're more likely to be victims in domestic homicides and, of course, sex-related homicides. The latter is an instance in which women are specifically targeted for being women. And that is the ultimate difference between the two. Men are the victim of violent crimes because they engage in violent crimes, whereas women are the victim of violent crimes for just existing.
The wage gap! Nope, in general, women make about 83 cents on the dollar. But women in their 20s are actually matching or out-earning men in their 20s. They're making anywhere from 95 to 112% of what men in the same city make.
This is what we like to call, in the business, hella misleading statistics. Because he's leading you to believe that maybe the wage gap used to be a more significant issue, but now the wage gap has basically gotten so small that it's almost non-existent. And while it is true that the wage gap has decreased over time, that's not what's going on here. What's going on here is that the wage gap increases over the span of your life. And this is because people who are right out of college typically don't make a lot of money. So even if men make more money than women, they're not going to make that much more money because they're not making that much money to begin with. Pew Research Center tells us that in 2022, women between the ages 25 and 34 did earn 92% as much as men of the same ages. And here, the start of each of these lines are women at the ages of 25 to 34. And yes, they are slightly increasing over time, but you'll also notice that as these women get older, that wage gap gets wider and wider.
Add in that men are more likely to ask for a raise.
I just want to quickly point out that there's actually evidence that this might not even be true anymore. Obviously, I don't know how conclusive all of these studies are, but it is going to make me question exactly how conclusive the previous statement is. Regardless, I think the whole "you're getting paid less because you didn't ask" is a little weird. I don't know, I think you should get paid based off of the quality of your work. What if you're shy? What, you don't deserve to get money?
Work longer hours, work in higher paying fields. The gap is a total myth.
A lot of what's going on here is coming from the fact that we're just kind of looking at surface level observations, but not really asking ourselves why. Like, yes, men are more likely to pursue something like engineering, which is a high paying profession, but why? Is there something inherently and biologically masculine about mathematics, or is it that we're less likely to encourage women into higher mathematical fields? If you don't ask yourself why it is that a certain field seems to be dominated by a certain group, you could very well lead yourself to believe that Jews are biologically just really good with money. A lot of people will literally say stuff like that, pointing out that there seems to be a relatively large portion of the financial sector that are operated by Jews, while also ignoring the fact that a big reason why Jews are engaged in finance to begin with is because they were made to. In much of Europe, they were not able to own or farm land, so they didn't have many other options, and Christians were barred from lending money with interest, leaving only one group of people left to do this work. Also, there's the Jew gene that makes us really good at counting.
Men are still judged harshly for not contributing financially to a household. Women are loved regardless of their financial contribution.
Right, so this goes back to my very first point about how masculinity is viewed as more valuable than femininity. If a man decides not to help out financially in a household, he is taking on a stereotypically feminine role. So it is seen as if he is downgrading himself. Whereas a woman deciding to contribute financially to a household, she is moving from a feminine role to a masculine role. So she is seen as doing something that is more valuable than what she was doing originally. It's the same reason why something like a woman wearing a pantsuit is not seen as drastic as a man wearing a dress. Obviously, there are exceptions to this, but in general, the reason why society will view men doing feminine roles negatively is because we tend to view feminine roles more negatively.
Question of the day. What privileges do men have?
Women are 30% less likely to be called back for a job interview than a man with identical qualifications. 35% of the United States thinks that women make worse political leaders than men, and the wage gap is still alive and well, just to name 3 things off the top of my head.
Newsflash, men can be attacked too. In fact, we're more likely to be attacked, assaulted, stabbed, shot. Way more.
Okay, but like what were they wearing? Men get attacked more because women are more afraid of being attacked, which leads them to avoiding dangerous situations. And to be clear, it's never a man's fault if they get attacked, but a healthy amount of stranger danger helps reduce the possibility.
In general, women make about 83 cents on the dollar. But women in their 20s are actually matching or out-earning men in their 20s.
Damn, that's crazy. So you're telling me women out-earn men and all you had to do to arrive at that conclusion is ignore the vast majority of the population? Who would have guessed that you can reach any conclusion you want by just ignoring the data you don't like?
Add in that men are more likely to ask for a raise, work longer hours, work in higher paying fields. The gap is a total myth.
Let's go through these claims one at a time. Your first claim is that men are more likely to ask for a raise. Not true. Women and men ask for a raise at about the same rate, but women are less likely to actually get the raise. Your second claim is that men work longer hours. Also not true. When you factor in domestic labor, women actually work more hours than men do. They just don't get paid for half of them. Your third claim is that men work in higher paying fields, which is nonsense. It's not that women choose to work in lower paying fields, it's that society values women's labor less. You can look at how computer science used to be a woman's field and paid really badly, but then as men started to join it more and more, it started to pay better.
Question of the day. What privileges do men have?
50% of the population of the United States is women, and yet we make up 27% of Congress, 27% of the House of Representatives, and 25% of the United States Senate. And there's never been a female president. Out of the 46 that we've had, they've all been men, and 45 of them have been white men. 64% of domestic violence homicides are women. And in spite of being 50% of the population in Fortune 500 companies, women make up 8% of CEOs. Jobs that are considered feminine, like being a teacher, being a nurse, being a nanny, are all woefully underpaid, while jobs that are considered masculine, like being an engineer, being a contractor, being a business owner, are all very well paid. Women are blamed for choosing lower paying positions. But when we decide to pursue leadership positions, we're quite literally blamed for the disintegrating family structure in America. Things like vasectomies and Viagra are covered by most health insurances. Men's reproductive rights are never up for debate. Their Viagra and their vasectomies are quite literally covered by their insurance. And yet women's reproductive rights can be the law, can be in the Constitution, and still be revoked. I want you to type in the comment section below how many men you knew that were upset or even attempted to console you when your rights were literally fucking taken away from you. Comment below. Don't take too much time to think about it. I already know what the number is. It sure as shit is under 2. If a man so much as asks us out to dinner, we have to put out to give him a return on his investment by buying us food. And the risk of us sleeping with this man is potentially getting pregnant. Which if we were to get pregnant and couldn't support that child, we would be blamed for opening our legs. If we say no and that man grapes us, we'll be asked what we were wearing, how many drinks we had, and usually receive no legal recourse. Men are allowed to age, Men don't have the tremendous burden of maintaining an impossible beauty standard to not be deemed invisible. If you meet the beauty standard, you're made both safe and unsafe because you have more eyes on you, but people will actually give a fuck if something bad happens to you. If you don't meet the beauty standard, you're made safe and unsafe because you're rendered invisible, which means you have less targets on your back. But if something bad happens to you, no one's gonna give a shit. Women's bodies and identities are fucking taken from them and sold back to them every day. Our pain, our youth, our daughters are constantly fetishized. No matter what we do, we lose. We don't get to be a doctor, we get to be a female doctor. We don't get to be athletes, we get to be female athletes. We don't have the opportunity of being revered by our peers on a global stage because you control the narrative. And no matter what we do, no matter how hard we try, we can't win. And that's all changing. You gave us just a little too much power, and we're gonna take it back. But we have a long way to go.
So I feel like male privilege is something that is ingrained in our society and has been for centuries. So women have been taught to accept it as a normal male behavior. So in other words, women have been taught to believe that certain behavior is not only acceptable but normal. Anyways, I don't know if I'm making sense, but I would also want to read from you. What do you think? I mean, what is this male privilege all about? Right, so having seen these videos, guys, let me know your take in the comment section. What do you have to say about this male privilege? I am here to learn. I am here to, learn from you. I just want us to make it a conversation in the comments. I'm going to bring to you women privilege and pretty privilege, of course, the downside of pretty privilege. Again, let me know your take in the comments, guys. And thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video, share, comment, and of course, come back for another video. I'm going to see you all in my next one. Y'all take care. I love you. Bye.